For me, to trust God would be to know that it will be okay, that God will take care of the details, and that I don't have to worry about all the steps to whatever the final answer is.
I feel like trust is having faith in something so much that you're willing to act on that faith.
I think the things that you value the most would be your relationships with your family, your kids. You know that you're not promised tomorrow, and to make the most of the time that we have right now.
I mean, there's been no bigger trust lesson for me than Landon, you know, and being Landon's mom. I don't know if God will heal Landon or not. You know, I've prayed for healing and I hope for healing, but I don't know what God's plans are. They've been so different than the way I think is the perfect way to do it. I've had to really trust that God's got us in that situation. Well, Landon is dealing with long QT syndrome, which is a problem with the electrical wiring of his heart, which can lead to his heart just starting to quiver and to stop effectively moving blood through his body, which leads to death.
I struggled with it for a long time. It's one of those things that when you pray a specific prayer and God answers in a way that you know He's answering, we knew that this is a child that God intended for us to have.
On March 24th, about 3:53 in the morning, I looked at the clock and Landon started screaming. I carried him out to the hallway and turned on the light, and his lips were blue.
I came running in there, and it was one of those things that we immediately called 911. We knew that it was not right.
Landon's thrashing and his eyes are squinted shut and he's not responding to anything. They came and they took Landon in the ambulance.
You tried to talk to him, you tried to get him to open his eyes, you tried to get him to respond, and there was absolutely no response.
Normally, when a shock occurs, it shocks Landon's heart into rhythm, and then, yeah, it hurts him. He might double over, he might cry out, but this wasn't normal, you know, and I thought, this is it. And what we found out happened, Landon's lead was broken that actually delivered the shock to his heart. What happens when you get shocked 6 times and then the defibrillator stops shocking because it says, well, you know, this person's gone, doesn't shock a corpse. But for Landon, God intervened and Landon's heart returned to a normal rhythm on its own.
As a parent, you have no idea what is going on at that time. I mean, you're just hoping that it would stop, that he would wake up, that it was some sort of a dream.
The doctors were assuming that there was brain damage. As a matter of fact, they didn't want to schedule surgery because they wanted a neurological consult first. But about 12 hours into it, Landon came back to himself. I had gone from expecting Landon not to come home at all to, oh my gosh, God brought him completely back, and this is a miracle. And the cardiologist said, this is a miracle.
He was going in and out of the hospital, and I really struggled with how do I get away from it. It took a long time to finally learn that God would take care of me through that situation.
The only way that I think anybody can deal with this and be even remotely joyful is that God is good all the time, and that His intentions for us are good all the time.